Welcome to Worthy Ones, the video series where I take all the newest issue 1 comic books that I read for the current comic book week and deem them worthy or not worthy. Guys, I'm Mike Spider Slayer and welcome back to Comic Book Corner 2.0. If you love me helping you make decisions on what comic books to buy, and if you love daily comic book content, you came to the right place. Consider hitting that subscribe button. Also, if you want to become a member of my YouTube channel as low as 99 cents a month, guys, you can get monthly badges to show people how long you've been a member of the channel for. You can get stickers on your comments during the live streams and in the comment section. And you can also get early releases on my videos. So consider becoming a member today. So with that being said, guys, we got a fun show for you today. And let's get started. The Last Mermaid. This is issue 1. This is a series premiere, 32 pages for $4. This is written by Derek Kirk Kim, and the art is done by Derek Kirk Kim. Now, my shop did have these last week, but they got damaged, so they didn't give them out until they got some more copies, and they did. And the way this book is formatted, it ain't like a magazine, and it's not like a comic book, but it's more like a storybook. I love the way that is, you know, and it definitely tells a great story here about the last mermaid supposedly on Earth. And she's running out of water in her little mech robot. It's like a transformer. It's a car so she can travel. It's got water stored inside of it so she can live. And then it transforms into a mech. And again, she's in search of fresh water so she can replace it in her tank. The toxicity level is actually growing in her mech suit, and she's in desperate need for it. Here's the way the mech looks inside. She has a little sidekick in here by the name of Tootie, but I mean, I tell you, there's not a lot of words in this comic book, but the artwork definitely tells the story for you on what's going on with this character. Now, she suffers through a crazy accident at the end of the issue, and then what happens, it looks like she's about to die, but on her way out, she supposedly does see another mermaid. Now, is it another mermaid or is she hallucinating? I thought that was quite interesting there. I'm definitely saying that this book is worthy. Definitely worth your time and pick up. I know I'm a week late on this book, but this was awesome. And I think the writer has been in the works of this story since 2014, and it's finally been released. And I am so happy that I read this book. Really great stuff. I'm going to give this one a B+. I was hoping for maybe a little bit more story, but nevertheless, I just found myself infatuated with this artwork. It was beautiful to look at this mermaid. She was a gorgeous face, and it just had this almost like this anime style to it in a way. I don't know, man, but it was awesome. Pick it up if you haven't checked it out yet. Helen of Windhorn. This is issue 1. This book is 32 pages for the price of $5. This is written by Tom King, and the artwork is done by Ben Evely. I'm horrible at these names, man. But let me tell you, this book was quite gorgeous. When you look at the artwork in here, the characters look unbelievable. I love the colors in this book. It definitely takes you back to the time of what? I think it was like the late 30s or maybe the 40s or something like this. And we learn about the characters here of, I think her name was Helen Cole, and then her governess, Miss Appleton, who is the one that's kind of in charge of Helen Cole, okay? Because she is this like 16-year-old, I guess, alcoholic that definitely has problems. Her father just most recently passed away. Her grandfather is the one that's telling this governess to, you know, keep aid on her and try to bring her back to the Windhorn house. And there's obviously some kind of history in this house. I mean, you're led to believe that right from the start when you just, you see the house right from the start and you get this whole introduction of the house. Now, I think Tom King's writing is perfect for this type of book. He tends to go into a lot of detail and a lot of over-explanation when it comes to his style of writing. I mean, you get to see that here. But it fits it. His writing fits it because in a house that has this much history and as big as it is, it's going to explain to you every single room and what it has inside of it and things like that. So if you're into that, you're going to love this book, okay? Now, if you've been reading for an hour or so, you're not going to want to read this book right then. Make this either your first read of the day or maybe your last read of the day, right? But the story was interesting. I definitely like this character of Helen, and I like the governess. They're two opposites. She's trying to keep her at bay. Helen's having these crazy dreams and seeing things, and then her governess, Miss Appleton, is like saying, "Oh, they're there. You're just seeing things, you need some sleep and this and that." And then all of a sudden you get to see this crazy monster that appears, and you get to see this warrior at the end of it that tackles it. And how it's connected to this house and everything else, well, I guess time will tell. This book is worthy. This is a well-written book. Like I said, it takes time to get through it. So give yourself some patience and make sure you're awake and you can get into this book. I liked learning the history of the house itself. Now I guess we're going to learn more about the characters, but I like how much of a badass that Helen Cole actually is. So I'm on board for this next issue. I wouldn't say this is perfect because it took a long time to get to where it needed to. Maybe a little bit too much explanation for my taste when it came to the house, but this one was a B- for me. Let's see where this one goes. Does it go up or does it go down? Suicide Squad Dream Team. This is issue 1, 32 pages for the price of $4. We have Nicole Maines and Eddie Barrows in this comic book. Here is your interior art. Of course, you're going to have Amanda Waller in this comic because she is basically the leader of the Suicide Squad in this comic book. And she brings together, again, a team to go out on a mission. And this time, Dreamer is the one that's the main person behind this particular mission. And the cast of characters that are in this Suicide Squad Dream Team is, of course, like I said, Amanda Waller, Dreamer, Harley Quinn, Bizarro 2, Black Alice. There's Clock King in here. There's Deadeye. There's Captain Boomerang. So there's a decent amount of people here, right? When it comes to Amanda Waller, I am also getting tired to see her in every single freaking DC comic. I know she's kind of like, I don't know, maybe the driving force of what's to come in DC Comics. And I'm also tired of seeing Harley in the Suicide Squad also. And I feel like they insert her in there because she's like been a Suicide Squad staple. And they feel that she needs to be in the book to sell books, right? But for me, this book was not worth it. I personally didn't like this book. It was not my favorite. I found it boring. I didn't like I don't like the character Dreamer. I just felt like I don't need this book. I was bored by it. I was just like, do you ever read a comic book sometimes and you find yourself not interested after 3 or 4 pages, and then you find yourself like zoning out because there's nothing happening and you're like, well, that's what happened for me in this comic book. And then I had to go back and reread it. I'm like, I'm just not getting this. I'm just not... I just don't like it, So this is a book, unfortunately, that I'm not going to continue. It's only 4 issues. I don't think I'm going to be missing anything here. And so at the end of the day, I might be in a minority of this, but I'm going to give this one a D. I think the artwork was okay. I just thought it was boring. Nothing spectacular in my eyes. Symbiote Spider-Man 2099. This is issue 1. This is a 40-page comic for $5. This book is written by Peter David, and the art is done by Roge Antonio? Yeah. The artwork is pretty good in this comic book. Here we got a 2-page spread of like a Venom from like some Atlantean dude. We got Miguel in this comic book that actually looks really good when he's in here. So that looks nice, right? So I thought the artwork is much improved from the Steve Orlando series that we've gotten. Even though it's not perfect, we get to see some scenes where some guy is like beat up and and it just looks weird, right? But most of the art here is much improved. So was this story any better? Well, the one thing that happens is that this story takes place after Spider-Man 2099, I think issue like 43. It's in the editor's notes. And Miguel O'Hara's in charge of, like, I think it's Acclimax and whatnot, and we get to see them trying to take it over, and Miguel is kind of unhinged a little bit in the comic, and then we get, what's his name? Is it Cronstone? If I'm right, yeah, Cronstone. He is Venom 2099 in here. So you get the return of him as well. Miguel is obviously trying to get control of his company, and he's trying to tell this one scientist dude to get rid of certain symbiotes, right? And this guy is like doing experiments on him, and he's trying to control it. And then when Spider-Man 2099 shows up, he winds up getting possessed by the symbiotes because it doesn't like obey his commands, and that's kind of like how Spider-Man 2099 becomes a Venom symbiote. And then you wind up getting to see, Punisher 2099 in here as well. So, if you're a fan of 2099 books and the characters and everything else, this book is worthy. Now, will I continue this comic book? I think I will. Was it the best thing that I ever read? No, I don't think so. But I do want to see where it goes and how Miguel O'Hara deals with the situation of him becoming a symbiote. That's what might make a story interesting. Now, it's been quite a few years since we've seen, a story take place back in the day of the original Spider-Man 2099. So there might be some people that might be a little bit lost. But I think it did an okay job here at, pacing the story and getting people into it. So I want to know what you guys thought in the comments below. At the end of the day, I'm going to give this one a C+. I thought it was okay. Not great, but enough for me to continue for now. Napalm Lullabi. This is issue 1. This is a 40-page comic for the price of $5. Rick Remender is the writer here. Had to pick this up because obviously he did Sacrificers. I love that comic book. The art here is done by Bingle. The artwork works at times, and then there was this flash forward to 50 years where the art changes a little bit. I don't, maybe it's just the coloring or whatnot. And I was like, whoa, what's going on here? It just seemed a little bit off. It wasn't like my favorite artwork in here. And then we wound up getting to see our main characters, and I didn't realize who our main characters were in this comic book until I wound up reading the end of it. So this is Sam, and then this is Sarah, okay? I'll explain them in a minute here. Let's talk about the main story of the comic. So this book opens up with like some holy rollers, no pun intended, I guess, based off of Rick Remender's last book, where we wind up seeing a mech come through, and inside the mech is this baby, and there's these other troopers that are after it to destroy it, right? And they're having a hard time making the call because it is a baby, right? And it's just like, I'm going to kill a baby here, and it doesn't even know what's going on, and it was protected by this mech. Well, this baby's got powers. It destroyed the people that were going after it. And then it fast forwards into 50 years. And there you're left into a much different tale. This book took a different turn from what I thought it was going to be when I first started reading it. I thought it was going to be about this baby, and it was going to be like this Superman thing where it was like the parents raised it and things like that. And you don't see that. It just fast forwards to this. And I'm just kind of like, whoa, what's going on? This guy's like killing this like church dude. He's wiping his hands in holy water. I'm like, what's happening here? And then you get to see all this, like all these different characters. And it looks like they're in this dream state because this one guy catches this bounty. He hooks up with this like weird angel chick. And I'm like, what is going on? You know, and there's this X-rated page that I can't show you. And I'm like scratching my head the whole time. I'm like, dude, and then you just get these two characters, which I said they're brother and sister, and they start running from people, right? From this club or whatever it is. I don't know, man. And then that's how it ends. And they're going to this particular part of the city that's in this bubble or whatnot. So I'm like, okay. I'm like, there's obviously a lot of stuff that you get thrown into, like if you were like already 3 or 4 issues into this series, and instead of a #1 issue, so you're left with your head scratching. So if you go into the back of this comic book, it explains, you know, that these two characters are brother and sister and what their mission is going to be and what their beliefs are, okay? And you're like, oh, okay, that makes sense. And then if you go into like the solicit for issue 2, it'll explain more about their mission at hand as well. And then it makes you understand, okay, now I understand what this comic is about. So this might be a turnoff for people, but I'm going to deem this book worthy. Now that I did some research and I found out some information about it, it leaves me intrigued. I feel like Remender could have done a little bit better job at making this first issue a little bit new reader friendly, right, than what it was. But it does definitely pique my curiosity here, and I'll see where it goes, how these characters develop. I want to see 50 years ago. I want to see how this ruler became the ruler that he is, right? So, I don't know. At the end of the day, I think I'm going to give this one a B-. I don't think it was a great issue #1, and for you to go out and do research to figure out if I'm going to continue this or not, because it seems interesting, but I'm not sure where the plot's going. I don't know, it's kind of a turnoff. So I will pick up the second issue just because it is Rick Remender. Ghost Rider Final Vengeance. This is issue 1. Legacy numbering 265. 40 pages for the price of $5. We have Benjamin Percy, who writes this one, who wrote the last Ghost Rider series, where I told you guys every single time, pick this book up. It's a lot of fun. The artwork is done by Danny Kim, and the artwork is really good in this comic book. Here you get to see Johnny Blaze, who's facing off against this freaking spider. We get to see all these different versions of like Ghost Rider for single seconds, and I'll explain why in a little bit. But the artwork in this comic was really a lot of fun. Look at those facial features. Here's one page that I think I'm going to show you that's really cool. Let's see, this page right here. So you get to see, you catch my drift here, that the artwork is pretty good in this comic book. Here's that opening page. Okay, so let's talk about this one. So a lot of people already know that the Spirit of Vengeance is leaving Johnny Blaze. This was announced a while ago. And I think it's also known that Parker Robbins, the Hood, I almost said Red Hood, the Hood is actually going to be the new host, right? But it's the journey on where the Spirit of Vengeance went through to get to that point is what made this comic book fun, okay? So, let's talk about this one. Why did the Spirit of Vengeance leave Johnny Blaze? Well, Mephisto is the one that's in charge of the Spirit of Vengeance. He's the one that gave it to Johnny Blaze. And Johnny Blaze has been fighting the Spirit of Vengeance. He's been using it for heroism, and that's not what it's intended for, right? And so he felt enough is enough. It's time to separate it from him, and you definitely get to witness that in this comic. So right here in this page right here, you get to see that separation that actually happens, right? And what's cool throughout this comic, you get to see it trying to find new hosts. You get to see it go through people, and then it leaves people, and it's saying who's going to be the one that's going to kill, who's going to, have any remorse about all the bad things that it does. So again, for the first few pages, you get to see the narration of the spirit of vengeance itself. Right? And then it starts going to people who have a little bit more evil or want to do bad things. And you get to see it go to this mother who's just exhausted. Her husband died. She's working 2 jobs. The rich grandmother wants to take custody of the kids. She's trying to set up the mother, planting drugs in the house. Mom can't take it anymore. The spirit of vengeance winds up finding her. It winds up possessing her. And she winds up freaking killing the freaking grandmother. Sick shit, man. I loved it all the way through. And then you get to see some other stories with different characters possessing it. And then the cool thing is actually seeing Red Hood acquire the spirit of vengeance. So if you don't want to see this page, close your eyes for a second. Ready? I'm going to show it in 3 and 2 and 1. This is the way he looks right now. It looks kind of cool. I loved it. And here's one more image, so don't open your eyes, because this is I think the next cover. That is sick right there, man. That is so freaking cool. I love that. You can open up your eyes now. This book was worthy in every stretch of the imagination. I get it. You might be pissed off that Johnny Blaze is no longer Ghost Rider, and he's not disappearing. We're going to find out where he goes, right? But I want to see how Red Hood handles this now going forward. I think this is going to be a banger of a series, guys. Check this one out now while it's brand new, okay? So at the end of the day, I'm going to give this one an A+. I had so much fun with this. Definitely pick this book up. I Heart Skull Crusher. This is issue 1. This book is $5, written by Josie Campbell. And the artwork is done by Alessio Zono. The artwork in this comic is actually really nice. It's definitely anime inspired. I love the facial expressions, the details that goes into the character. We get introduced to the world, how it's focused on water, like it needs water. It's treated as money in this world. There's lots of action. The paneling layouts are really good. It has a modern day feel to it, obviously, of some of the themes that are going on in here. Kind of reminds me a little bit of like Pokemon at the same time, because it does show a couple cards in here. Overall, great feel for the comic. Now, what did I think about this particular story? Well, surprisingly, this debut issue just rocked. I absolutely loved it. This comic book is about a young girl by the name of Trini who wants to be like her idol. And her idol in this comic is, what's her name? Is Scream. Oh my God. Is Skull Crusher, and she's part of the Screaming Paintball league, right? It's just a sport that happens, and ever since she was a little girl, she just admired this person, and she wants to be part of this league. She lives in a small town that has nothing. There's like absolutely nothing. It's in desert. Like I said, their form of currency is water. Her mom and dad are dead. She talks to their skulls. She likes to pretend that they're alive. She's not crazy, and she's an aspiring athlete, and she wants to live that dream. And this book is just really about never give up on your dreams, right? And the journey getting there is pretty awesome. And, you know, there is a championship that's coming to their town. They have to pay for the entry fee, and if they win, they get to become part of the league, right? And so she's trying to find teammates, and they think she's crazy, and they don't want her on her team. and she's trying to find this particular coach, and she finds out he's a drunk, and she's like, I don't care, I'm gonna find whoever it is that I need to be on my team. And it's just a really great comic book. It is definitely worthy in so many ways. I loved the character. It introduced her very well. I love the tone of the book, the pacing of the book. I love the action of the book. I love the league. Like, I find myself wanting to watch the first match of this championship. I want to get introduced to Skullcrusher herself. Like, I love how this character pumps you up to get excited for this league. I love that. And it's beautiful art at the same time, man. So this book also gets an A+ for me this week. Definitely, guys, go to the shop, pick this one up. I was hesitant about buying this. And then when I saw it, and I talked to my friends over on Comic Book Weekly on the live stream each week, I was like, all right, I'll pick it up. Why not? And I am so happy that I did, and I'm adding this to my pull list. There you have it, guys. There is this week's number ones that I read. So I want to know in the comments below, what do you deem worthy or not worthy? And do you agree on my opinions or you disagree? That's absolutely fine if you do. And of course, guys, if you love my content, there's more content right there for you. In fact, this is my haul video. This is where everything I picked up for the current comic book week. And as always, guys, support the local comic shops. Keep reading, keep collecting, but always remember, read your comics and talk about them. Guys, thank you so much. I'll see you real soon. Bye.